Home and abroad, take the day off to pray for the families of students killed in the Kumba massacre and for those still responding to treatment in the hospital. The day of mourning was decreed by the President of the Republic. Social Affairs Minister calls for joint efforts in protecting the rights of children and vulnerable persons as the government steps up her commitment to protect children, much to the delight of the citizens. Good evening and welcome. I am Benin Bumagana. This is the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
This newscast is coming to you live from Studio 5 of the Crtv Production Center in Balatu. The national flag of Cameroon shall fly at half-mast tomorrow Saturday all over the national territory and in diplomatic missions abroad as the country mourns the brutal massacre of the students in school at the Mother Francisca International Bilingual Academy, Fiango Kumba. The day of national mourning was decreed by the President of the Republic, Paul Biya. And tomorrow, an interreligious service will be organized at the multipurpose sports complex in Yaoundé to pray for the bereaved families. Constantine Baum is here with a preview of tomorrow's activities.
It will take long for the nation to come to terms with the barbaric killings of children in Kumba. Tomorrow's day of national mourning may help relieve the pains of the families as well as the nation. Throughout the week, prayers have been said, but tomorrow the nation comes as one to mourn and pray for peace.
Tomorrow, an interreligious prayer is going to take place in the multipurpose sport complex of Yaoundé at exactly 11 a.m. prompt, and all believers are going to be there.
We have called every Christian to come in the attitudes of death.
At the Ministry of Basic Education, wreath for the children could be seen at the entrance, and the flag would fly at half-mast tomorrow.
The flag will be lowered as prescribed by the President of the Republic.
We should go and jointly pray for God to bless, touch the heart of those sinners, never to commit this type of a sin again.
It will be an opportunity for the nation to as well mourn all those who have lost their lives because of the crisis.
The population of the town of Abolova is bracing up to observe the National Day of Mourning for victims of the Kumba School massacre tomorrow Saturday, while administrative authorities are taking the necessary measures to ensure the solemnity of the day. Clergymen on their part have announced a prayer caravan that will tour major streets to pray for lasting peace in the country. Clarence Azay reports.
Apart from the national flag that shall be flown at half-mast this Saturday, the population of the South Regional Chief Town has also set aside the day to, in a very special way, mourn victims of the Kumba carnage. This through a national day of prayer organized by clergymen from different Christian denominations to pray for the repose of the murdered students.
We
are preparing with other churches in Abolova to pray against the devilish act recorded last week in Kumba. We shall all dress in black to mourn the victims. The caravan will kickstart the prayer walk at the esplanade of the South Governor's office to the Paul Biya Square downtown Abolova, where they will pray for lasting peace to reign in Cameroon. Administrative authorities of the region have called on the population to massively show solidarity to the bereaved families as requested by President Paul Biya.
And over in the southwest, the Consul General of Nigeria to the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon, Ibrahim Mohamed Bashir, has expressed the sympathy of the government and the people of Nigeria to the victims of the Kmer massacre. During a visit to the victims of the brutal attack who are receiving treatment at the Boya Regional Hospital, he condemned in strong terms the action of the gunmen and prayed they be apprehended and brought to book. Tanjong Levis Agbo reports.
Though a brief visit, the psychological support from the Consul General of Nigeria to the southwest and northwest regions of Cameroon to the victims and their families is what they need to move on at these difficult moments of their lives. In his words of consolation, the diplomat Ibrahim Mohamed Bashir said he cannot be indifferent to the plight of these school children.
I'm here on behalf of my country to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Republic of Cameroon at a grieving moment like this. For those who are no more with us today, we pray to the Almighty God to grant them eternal peace, and for their parents to give them the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss.
The victims, 10-year-old Gordon James and 16-year-old Juliet Bobga, are gradually responding to treatment.
It's stable for now, as we reported yesterday, but we are extra cautious to make sure that we go the extra mile and be reassured. So we are running a CT scan today for the victims, just to be on the safe side.
While condemning this act of barbarism, the Consul General reiterated the strong diplomatic ties between the Federal Republic of Nigeria and Cameroon.
Let's stay in the southwest region, where the governor, Bernardo Kaliabilai, has called on the population to use the National Day of Mourning tomorrow to pray for the souls of the victims of the Kmer massacre. He was speaking in an exclusive interview granted Kange Williams Wasaluko, that is the station manager, CRTV Southwest. Here is an excerpt of the governor.
Saturday is a day, a national day for mourning. We are celebrating the memory of our children who have been assassinated. According to the presidential decree, all the activities, we slow down the flags, half-mast. It is a day to mourn our children. In the various towns like in Kumba, Limbe, Boya, people have organized mass celebrations to pray for the souls of the departed children. So it is a day to mourn our children, to pray God that the blood should no longer be poured in the soil of the Southwest. The traditional rulers of the region, under the banner of SWEC and other traditional rulers too, were coming to pour tradition. So we are inviting the population to attend the various match services organized in the various localities, to pray sincerely, to pray the Almighty God, to touch the heart of all those who are giving orders to assassinate the population, to assassinate the children.
And that is the governor of the Southwest region, encouraging persons living in the Southwest to take the day of tomorrow to pray. The Minister of Social Affairs has called on the public to join efforts in protecting the rights of children and vulnerable persons. At the close of a two-day national colloquium on the protection of the child, Pauline Irene Gene hailed the contributions of participants and stressed that government would do all to address issues affecting children in Cameroon. Romeo Kenya reports.
The two-day national colloquium on the social protection of the child in Cameroon has been holding on the theme, access to education for vulnerable children. Participants have been discussing ways of limiting social delinquency of all forms, especially in the school milieu, often motivated by drug consumption. At the closing ceremony, the Minister of Social Affairs said a lot is being done to address the situation.
Conclusions and recommendations of the said report are already implemented through the mounting and maturation of 2 projects responding to principal needs on protection identified, notably the project of assistance to children in distress, the project of assistance to socially maladjusted children, which will be implemented next year.
Sensitizing the public on the need to protect children, reorganizing extracurricular activities in institutions, and promoting inclusive education featured amongst recommendations.
And officials of the Ministry of Basic Education have been outlining the role education plays and the evolution of pedagogies during the COVID-19 pandemic. Officials of the ministry and other stakeholders met today in Yaoundé for the 54th edition of the International Literacy Day, officially observed on September 8th every year. Cynthia Saptala has more details from today's meeting.
The 2020 edition of World Literacy Day highlights learning and teaching in a lifelong perspective with focus on youth and adults. Last year, official records revealed that about 40% of Cameroonians were illiterate. Though the current health crisis posed a real threat, authorities reassure that the existence of literacy centers has contributed in bringing down the numbers.
We have CAF centers. CAF centers are functional literacy centers that have been put in place and actually partnering with the Ministry of Basic Education to encourage those who have not gone to school to self-develop themselves. We have taken an approach of blended learning. So most of the centers are now encouraged to go digital.
In the Fundi division, for example, it is estimated that there are 15 of such multifunctional centers. Educating trainers on new teaching methods during the COVID-19 crisis will greatly contribute in fulfilling UNESCO's mission to guarantee education for all.
Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute has called on Cameroonians resident in Congo to be worthy ambassadors of their country. He was speaking to separate Cameroonian delegations at the embassy in Congo at the close of the Brazzaville de Gaulle International Colloquium. The delegation included ethnic groups, business persons, and workers of international organizations. Details with Christian Che Atam.
The first audience, which Joseph Dion Gute accorded, was to a delegation of the CPDM section, Congo. The CPDM supporters exchanged with the PM on a wide range of issues, including the prevailing socio-political situation in Cameroon. They also pleaded on the government to negotiate a reduction of the amount they pay every year for resident permits in Congo.
Very happy to hear that the government of the country, it take the measure to preserve peace and serenity in our country. We need that the two governments of the two countries dialogue to look how to reduce the cost of the permanent permit here.
Next came the delegation of Cameroonian ethnic and linguistic groups represented in Congo-Brazzaville. They expressed dismay at the recent killings in Kumba and called on government to track down the perpetrators of the act.
As you can see here in Congo-Brazzaville, we say we condemn that voice, and that's whoever that commit that act should be brought to justice.
Prime Minister Joseph Dion Gute also received the Association of Cameroonian Business Persons in Congo, as well as Cameroonians working in international organizations based in Brazzaville.
We congratulated him and to him the government for all the efforts being done for the needs of the Cameroonian diaspora. Expressed our wish to see a structure, consolidated structure that is formally established to ensure that the Cameroonians from the diaspora, including those of the international organizations, can connect as they need.
Joseph Dion Gute called for the total respect of the laws of their host country. He invited them to be worthy ambassadors of Cameroon in all their undertakings and to always be inspired by the motto, peace, work, fatherland.
The Electricity Development Corporation, EDC, and the French Development Agency have signed a convention to finance the Ndeng Ndeng National Park at Lompanga in the East region. The convention is worth 650 million CFA francs and was signed by the Director General of EDC, Théodore Sangu, and for the French Development Agency by the French Ambassador to Cameroon, Christophe Guilhou. Luma Slim Davis reports.
By the terms of the convention, the French Fund for World Environment will put in 650 million francs in a project aimed at improving on the biodiversity of the Ndeng Ndeng National Park and to maintain ecosystem services.
One of our priorities in the country is the sustainable development of Cameroon. In this regard, forests are one of the key priorities of France in Cameroon. The idea is to have the most balanced development of the country.
The gorillas and chimpanzees at the park in the Ndeng Ndeng forest will be better protected and conserved, keeping hunters at bay.
We are very sure now that we will be in position to take our commitment to preserve these gorillas.
The signing comes after the water charge agreement last September between EDC and the state of Cameroon.
A two-day local entrepreneurship and self-employment exhibition has ended in Bafoussam with several projects presented for funding. The Minister of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Social Economy and Handicrafts, Achille Basilikeng III, who supervised the exhibition, encouraged youths of the West region to seize every available opportunity and fight against unemployment. Let's get over to Bafoussam to get this report from Gu Henry.
The two-day exhibition has brought together entrepreneurs, project holders, regional and local authorities, plus employers. The event is marked by workshops, project fairs, B2B meetings, experience sharing, and exchange with experts.
The purpose today is to promote the entrepreneurship. We should let our young children know that entrepreneurship should be the first option.
There is need to work in close collaboration with parliamentarians and local authorities to ensure that the various incentives, instruments, but facilities granted to entrepreneurs are boosted, and beyond that, under this tripartite alliance, we are able to generate a new vision.
Minister Achille Basilikeng III also visited the site of the Bafoussam Handicraft Village under the ruler of Bafoussam Chief Njintak Ngompe Pele.
A convention signed between the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, on May 17, 2018 has been amended. The modified agreement signed today in Yaoundé seeks to enhance the agricultural value chain development project in the country. Here now is an excerpt of the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Gabriel Mbairobe. Take a listen.
Youth employment is a constant concern of the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, and this agreement will enable some youth to be an entrepreneur, agro-entrepreneur in Cameroon. They will have training in incubation centers, and after their graduation, they will have support, financial support, material support from the African Development Bank and the government of the Cameroon. It's an opportunity for me to say thank you for the African Development Bank for their support, and to congratulate IITA, our technical partner.
Some officials of the Supreme State Audit Office in Yaoundé have taken part in a 5-day capacity building workshop on methodology and management procedures. The seminar, organized under the stewardship of the Minister Delegate at the Presidency in charge of Supreme State Audit, Rose Mba Achafomunda, aims at improving on the verification techniques of participants. Natasha Lehman reports.
Inspectors General have a key role to play within the institutions. They ensure governance and effective functioning of services. The 5-day workshop organized by the Supreme State Audit Office will enable them update their skills on verification techniques, methodology, and management procedures.
We expect, therefore, that after this seminar, they are going to gain a lot of experience, because this seminar teaches them how to planify their work, how do they plan their work, how to execute the verification or the control, and how to write their reports at the end of the control in such a way, if they were to do their work effectively as being trained here by Consupe, by the time Consupe will come as the external auditor and they, the internal auditor, Consupe will find little fault within that structure, because they will have carried out their work in such a way that where there is any risk, the signal and the risk is corrected by the minister or the governor, as the case will be.
While launching the capacity building workshop, the minister delegates at the presidency in charge of the Supreme State Audit Office called on attendees to put into practice what they will learn to enhance professional output.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
The fight against the coronavirus pandemic continues, and today, health professionals at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport say one of the challenges they face trying to detect a fake COVID-19 result from an authentic one is that most of these results from Europe are not signed. Hence, a number of measures have been taken by the Ministry of Public Health to ensure that those coming into the country are tested negative. Baldwin Sama is at the Public Health Emergency Center, CUSP, for more details. Baldwin.
Good evening to you. Benin Bumagana actually becomes quite difficult. According to health professionals who work at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport, difficult it is for them to detect the difference between a fake COVID-19 result or COVID-19 test presented upon arrival at the airport and a real or a true report, given that there are a lot of differences talking about the different results produced by European countries, for example. Health professionals working at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport say that for European countries, they issue out a COVID-19 result without signatures, contrary to what is being done here in Cameroon. One of the difficulties in terms of making out the difference between which one is real and which one is fake. They have equally cited the example of they cited the example of Great Britain, where COVID-19 results are issued out without signatures. They don't specify the laboratory where samples were collected. They don't equally explain where or when exactly were the samples collected. So it makes it quite difficult for some of these health professionals to detect a fake and a real COVID-19 test or result at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport. However, in order to avert this situation, they say the Minister for Public Health came out with a strategy calling on all other countries to make available a list for the different laboratories where these COVID-19 tests are being conducted, and equally for the creation of an online platform through which they can make available the different COVID-19 results online for them to be able to detect or check these results. And they insist that at the level of the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport, like any other airport, they are very strict that all these COVID-19 results must fall in line with prescriptions outlined by the government of Cameroon. And if they get to discover that there are some results that do not respect the standards, for example, they go above 72 hours, these persons are subjected to another COVID-19 screening at the Yaoundé-Simalène International Airport. And if anybody is tested positive for COVID-19, he or she is isolated and later on taken to a treatment center, COVID-19 treatment center in Yaoundé or in Douala. Those are some of the modalities put in place at our airports to check the coronavirus pandemic. Back to you, Benin Bumagana.
Thank you very much, Baldwin Sama von Kamer. The Director General of the Cameroon Radio Television, Crtv, and the Country Director of the Japanese International Cooperation Agency, JICA, have been discussing on how both institutions can work together for development. Crtv's Director General, Sharon Dongo, received the Country Director of JICA, Kageyama Tadashi, today, and at the end of the audience, Kageyama had these words for the journalists present.
Since I've just arrived in Cameroon, I came here to introduce myself to Director General. Also, I came here to discuss the JICA's project, which is in pipeline. And I also asked the Mr. Director General for his support for the good development of the project. Yeah.
Of course, school material and food items have been donated to 2 schools in the Douala 6 subdivision by the Rapid Intervention Battalion B. The assistance given to the government primary school 2B and Kange is a way of encouraging IDPs from the southwest and northwest regions in those 2 localities. Dixon Ashu tells us more.
The Douala 6 subdivision with headquarters Manuka is only accessible by navigation. It is made up of islands that constitute different villages. The people have a unique way of constructing their houses due to inadequate land surfaces. Fishing is their main economic activity. A majority of them are Nigerians, but you can also find Ghanaians and people from the southwest and littoral regions. Their children attend school, though not all of them, and by their local initiatives and that of the government, they have set up schools, but amenities are lacking. The B commander in Douala, during routine visits to some of the villages, observed with distress that 4 to 5 people sat per desk during lessons. Raising this new school here, they have come along with didactic materials alongside food items to encourage the school staff.
They came here a week ago and told us that they're going to give us this, and today it has been realized. We are very grateful.
Along with the delegation was the Nigerian Consul General to Douala, who was meeting the Nigerian community therein for the first time. He is told the children need birth certificates to sit official exams and further their studies.
They need to organize themselves, and they need to be conscious of the fact that that is a responsibility the parents owe their children. They are the ones who should request for birth certificates for their children.
Such visits are rare in Manuka, and the divisional officer for Douala 6 says more is needed.
We have a problem of teachers also. Materials, teachers, and space.
Such visits to Manuka have become habitual for the B in Douala, and they say this will not be the last.
Christians of the Benedictine monastery Montfebe Yaoundé have been edified to continue praying for peace in Cameroon in spite of the numerous challenges the country is going through right now. The Metropolitan Archbishop of Yaoundé, His Grace Jean Barga, closed the prayer month of the Rosary at the Benedictine monastery today, as we hear in this report by Gerald Nanji Eyambe.
The sanctuary of Our Lady of Mount Phoebe Monastery was a point of convergence. While closing the month of the Rosary, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Yaoundé enjoined the faithful to continue to pray for peace in spite of the security and health challenges the country is going through.
To pray especially for the country. At this moment we are facing many problems. We called the Holy Mary to sustain us, to intercede for us, and I'm very sure that our prayers have reached the heart of God.
The Rosary remains the point of contact between Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, and the faithful.
The Rosary made a lot for the salvation of the people. Whatever you can pray this prayer, I'm sure that God is always helping you.
Thanksgiving for a successful month of pilgrimage crowned the ceremony.
Let's talk sports now. A delegation from the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has carried out an inspection mission to Boya and Limbe to ascertain the readiness of hotels, stadiums and other facilities to host Pool D of the 2021 African Nations Championship. Led by retired Ghanaian international today, Assistant Secretary General of CAF in charge of football and development, Anthony Bafwe, this is the last inspection mission before the competition in January and February. Nook Protus reports.
Hotels and 5 stadia in Buea and Limbe were slated on the schedule of the CAF inspection mission, led by the Confederation's Assistant Secretary General in charge of football and development, Anthony Bafui, in what some observers will see as a tacit acknowledgement of the readiness of the other hosting facilities. Anthony Bafui's inspection team paid special attention to the playing turfs in the Moleko Omnisports Stadium in Buea. Some minor drainage and maintenance issues had led to a degradation of the playing turf, while in the Middle Farms Stadium in Limbe, the playing area had only recently been given a facelift after the removal of COVID-19 treatment structures that were installed there. The contractors and stadium officials gave the CAF delegation assurances that all the playing turfs will be in perfect shape within 3 weeks, and the CAF people asked for weekly reports with photographs to be sent to them. The main playground, the Limbe Omnisports Stadium, was scrutinized for half an hour and no major issue was noted. The ultra-modern accreditation center in Down Beach, Limbe, was also on the slate for inspection. Site committee members for Pool D, that is Buea Limbe, felt satisfied that enough had been done to host the competition, but they also recognized that there would always be minor issues to attend to right up to the kickoff. Apart from Cameroon's Minister for Sport and Physical Education, Professor Narcis Moele Kombi, who accompanied the CAF delegation, there was the Limbe Buea Site Committee Chairman, Southwest Governor Bernard Okalia Bilai, and Fecafoot's 3 top officials, the President Seydou Mbombon-Joya, the First Vice President Alim Konate, and the Second Vice President, Honorable Joshua Usi.
Thank you very much for watching the 7:30 news. Coming up at 8:30, it's another newscast with Ataba Dinomar. Do not forget, tomorrow is National Day of Mourning. It's time to pray for those families whose kids were killed in the Kumba massacre, and for those who are still in the hospitals. Thank you very much for watching the 7:30 news. I'll be back tomorrow.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing